Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have special guest, Tom Paladino. All right, thank you and welcome, Tom. I just want to share a little bit about Tom. So, Tom is on a personal mission to make a difference in the world by providing people with the education and tools to restore optimum health and enhance their quality of life. He uses Scalar energy or Scalar light, works, and this is with the quantum field, the consciousness of the universe, to activate the body's own innate healing ability. All right, well, that sounds incredible. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the introduction. Pleasure to be here.
And based on my new best-selling book, there it is, Behind Me, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. That's what this show started about. And so I'd love for you to share about a time in your business or personal life where you experienced a difficult situation and how you got back on track.
Well, the answer to that is many times. And how do I get back on track? I define the problem. In order to solve a problem, you have to define the problem. You have to be rather objective about that. Mm-hmm. You have to break it down. And if you can do that, and perhaps sometimes you have to go piecemeal, and step by step, you can go about solving a problem or a series of problems. That's my objective way of looking at it. And then many times, I'll add this, Sheila, I don't look at problems as a shortcoming or a roadblock. I look at it as an opportunity. If there's a difficult situation, you learn from it. Now, sometimes you have to avoid it entirely, but situations that you get stuck or you have a problem, that's a learning opportunity. Yeah, learn from it.
Definitely. And I'd love to hear what Scalar, I don't know if I even say
Scalar light.
Scalar.
Everybody in the world is an expert at scalar light. Why? It's sunlight. It's starlight. Oh. Another name for it is scalar light or 0-point energy, Tesla energy. So what is my point? There's two energies. Sadly, we're only focused on electricity. There's another energy, scalar energy. And I work with scalar energy because it has a much greater promise than that of electricity. You can do so many things with scalar energy that you cannot do with electricity.
Wow, that sounds incredible. So that's something, and it's in the quantum field it was mentioned. So yes. How does that connect with the sun energy?
Let me put this into context. There are two energies, that's correct, scalar energy, electromagnetic energy. Okay. Hence, there are two dimensions. Hence, there are two realities. So when you're working in a scalar energy dimension, it's different than that of the dimension that we considered electromagnetic energy. So imagine what I'm saying. There's two realities. And the reality that I prefer is a scalar energy reality. Some people have called that consciousness or the quantum state or the dream state or ether energy or Tesla energy. There is something that's beyond the space-time continuum. That's what I work with. That's the energy that I work with. It's not bound by space and time. So you are actually in a different dimension. Still very real, It abides by certain scientific principles, but it's not electricity. It's a different dimension.
Mm, that sounds somewhat familiar to me. I love that space so much so that, like, I have trouble. I have to do lots of things to be in this energy field of our time. And time, like this construct of time. I literally, my one of my kids got me a cute watch because I'm like not good with time, and I'm like, well, but I can feel things, and I'm right on a lot of things and very guided,
Yeah.
and things just show up, and so it's beautiful. But I'd love to get an example of how that works in your life, or how does that work in someone's life? What differences show up?
Mhm.
What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, I can speak from a laboratory perspective. When I'm working with this energy paradigm, it's a different reality, and I observe different scientific principles. And what I've come to appreciate is that this is a divine energy.
Mm-hmm.
That scalar energy is a divine energy. Now, what does that mean to me as a scientist? That this is a new way of looking at not only science, but spirituality, religion. And I hope to see the unifying effect from this. That's where we really want to go with this type of energy. If energy is from God, light is from God, it should unite everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's universal. So a universal concept, energy or consciousness, should unite the world.
Yes. So now I'm trying to understand, maybe for our listeners, how this is applied, or how do you hook up or tap
Right.
into this energy
Okay.
field that's everywhere, that somehow or scientifically happens? How do we plug into that?
People do that naturally by way of thinking, their feelings. So the human mind, the human heart are scalar energy instruments, scalar energy vessels. And I want to make this very clear. This is not an esoteric subject because it's everywhere. It's sunlight, it's starlight, and everybody has the ability to think and feel.
Mm-hmm.
So the real animating force behind all thoughts and all emotion is scalar energy, or this animating force from God. So consider, why do we think? How do we think? It's some type of energy from God. Why do we feel? What's the expression of love or compassion? It has to be some expression from God. It's scalar energy in my estimation. So in a nutshell, that serves as the instructions or the intelligence or the logos of the universe. So I am working with the perfect information field, the quantum field, the information field. That is what scalar energy is, perfect information. And that's what I'm trying to introduce to mankind. Perfect information, perfect consciousness, divine consciousness.
Nice, nice. Now let's go back. When you were like a little boy, did you just have the connection, or you just wanted to study science, or how did you figure this out?
I always knew that this existed. I knew there had to be a second energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to read Nikola Tesla, the great scientist, and I realized Tesla was working with scalar energy. He was the first inventor of scalar energy instrument. He's a genius.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we haven't caught up to him yet. We don't realize he was working with scalar energy. He was the first scalar energy engineer.
Yes, yes. He was incredible. And I remember first learning about him a long time ago and thinking, oh my gosh, that's stuff that I felt, but I couldn't put words to. And it's just a beautiful thing to finally have his work coming out, where I think it was kept away from people for a very long time.
Yes.
And so that's something that I think it's when the world is ready for it also. And this time is a ready time, because we don't have the peace that we wish for at this moment, at least in this dimension, right? but it's something that everybody really longs for. no matter what the religion they study or where they live on the planet or who they are, it doesn't matter. It's something that's a universal law, a universal desire, because like you said, that's what we were created for, made for. That's why we're here. Part of that is to express that. So I think it's just a beautiful time. Even though it feels like a very difficult time, I kind of feel like in the center of the storm is peace.
Yes. Well, good for you, because you're not distracted by the world. See, sadly, some people, they allow themselves to lose their balance, to lose their composure. Good for you, Sheila.
Yeah. So, and there's many storms in life, for sure, that people will, if you live long enough here on the planet, you're going to have stuff happen in our world. You're going to have a loss of a loved one, or a situation happen, a career shift, all these things that are part of our life, that are like, it's part of the life experience, where we lose people or they transition, however you want to put that. And it's a different space when you experience things like that, and it brings you closer to the connection. I feel, at least for me, like it changes, it just humbles you, and it makes you realize that life is so important, and each person, even a pet, a puppy, my puppy's sleeping at my feet. she had to be in the room. And so, everything, the energy, when they transition, it changes things. And so our moments here matter, even when you don't feel like they do. Maybe they really do.
Thank you. Everybody in this world is a genius. Everybody in this world has the ability, has exceptional ability. Everybody has some type of gift. Somebody out there has some type of gift. And if we realize that, then everybody is precious. They are in God's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's just too much division in this world. We have to unify. That's what I'm trying to do with this research. I'm trying to help mankind. I want to unify mankind. I don't want to divide.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was something that was shared in some of the notes that went back and forth with us about how you were going out to different places on the planet and bringing this to different people. Okay. I'd love to hear about that.
Okay. Now, I'm going to prepare the audience for this, and I'm going to give if you will, a caveat. What I am doing is not an electrical phenomenon. This has nothing to do with electricity. I work with people around the world by way of their photograph. This is my photograph. People will email me a photograph, and any photograph has an energy field. This photograph is my bilocated version, or my energy field. I actually place photographs inside an instrument, a single photograph or a collection, a collage of photographs. So I work through what I call the quantum field of a photograph. So this is Tesla energy. There is a quantum field. If I can make communication on a cell phone, obviously I'm not inside the cell phone. If I was having a cell phone call with you, Sheila, neither you or I are inside that cell phone. It's simply a transfer of a signal. Well, likewise, when I'm working with photographs of people, it's their signal. Their signal. Long story short, I'm able to work with anybody in the world by way of a photograph. A photograph represents their bilocated version. And then, in so doing, I'm able to eradicate pathogens or balance the brain waves. I do that all through the interface of a photograph, any type of email photograph.
Wow, that's incredible. Yes. And I've heard of other people doing similar things with photographs in the past, healing or doing different modalities. And that photograph is a big part of the situation.
That's where the intention goes. Very good. That's the focus. That's the intention. So this is a new science in which everything has a scalar energy signal, including a photograph. And a photograph actually is the identical copy of me as a person. That photograph is the bilocated version of me. Now that's possible in a scalar energy force field. So instead of people coming to my laboratory, I simply receive thousands of photographs of every day, and I send people energy through their force field, through their quantum field. This is scalar energy. This is consciousness. This is quantum energy. It's a new science. It is valid, and it does have properties.
Nice. That is incredible. And, people listening in, whether you've heard about this or not, they've been studying these things at universities for a very long time, and government, this and that. And it's something that now is coming out where it's, oh, really, this is becoming more common knowledge, and people are sharing about this type of connection and modality that in the past was like, oh, that's just the woo-woo stuff. And really, there is so much to it that I don't know if we'll ever have the full explanation of it all, but it really works magically.
It does.
When it's aligned to work, I think.
Yes. And I have the scientific instrumentation that proves that this is not only a reality, but it's a repeatable process. So if I'm working within that framework, within those guidelines of science, and what I am doing is scientific, yes, and it's a repeatable process, yes, and I see a guaranteed outcome, yes, all of that follows the rubrics, the tenets of science. So this is the new science of scalar energy. It's as real as electricity.
Nice. Now, how exactly does your program work? People send you pictures, and then it's like over a period of time, or is it depends on what the field really has for their highest and best?
Yeah. I offered the world free sessions on my website. Anybody in the world can sign up for 15 days of free sessions. And in so doing, I want people to get their feet wet, so to speak. This is a new science. So during our 15-day free session, people will have their chakras balanced, their brain waves balanced. We're able to detect by way of a person's photograph their pathogenic load, what type of germs, microbes, pathogens they have, and eradicate pathogens. And we also can create micronutrients. We can assemble amino acids and fatty acids and phytochemicals all through the quantum field. So those processes are guaranteed, but people have to experience this. This is a new process. I invented this process. I don't expect people to get it first time around. It's brand new. It's brand new because I invented this process. This unique process needs an explanation. How do I explain it? I give away 15 days of free sessions.
Nice. That sounds really nice. And how do you work with this quantum field energy, and you're doing the work with the energy that you're sending through the photographs, through the field? Does that affect you? Do you need to clear yourself? Is there a process for that? Is it like an empath kind of a thing also because you're connected with the field? Or
You're right. That's very good. So before I treat, I always pray. I always like to be in prayer, and I always ask for God's healing. God is the healer. I'm not the healer. And it's important to have that type of disposition going into this. And I would say that intention would help augment this type of healing, because this is consciousness. So my prayer consciousness itself lends itself to the healing process. And that's prudent of you.
Yes, that sounds interesting. I've done some similar things, different, but where definitely when you're working with people or pets or whatever you work with, there's definitely You want to make sure the energies are separate and you don't take on any of the symptoms yourself. And so you let that go. But it's something, like I'm very empathic, so I feel things. So I can be in a crowd, I can be on a stage, I can be hugging thousands of people. And then I need to like go to my retreat and
Yeah.
have my time for me to,
Yeah.
and it's not really me, it's like a clearing and a meditation time, and just like I need that time and space, and then I can go back and be out there with people again. And so I have that in my life, and my grown children that have the same thing. I know they also really fuel by having that recharge time and that clearing time.
Mm.
So it makes a difference in, like, you can go be in the center of the city and with everybody, but then you need to have the retreat. So I have a vacation home that's by a lake that's peaceful and quiet, and all the kids come here, and we're all just relaxed, and we recharge, and then we go back out. And so that's been our way of dealing with that in a good way, and giving ourselves that structure around the structure of this dimension, maybe, and that other one. I don't know. Whatever that is.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people should follow that example.
Mm.
You can't be full throttle your entire life. You have to stop. You have to appreciate your downtime, your quiet time, your family time, your prayer time.
Yes.
We're not machines. God did not create us to be machines.
Yes, and we need that we need to rest and recharge, because if we don't, just like if you're going to the gym and working out, if you don't have a repair day, a rest day, you don't really build the muscles properly, and you hurt yourself. And it's the same for everything else. And I think in our, like, United States, especially, where you only get, if you work for a company, you get 2 weeks off a year, and you're on.
Horrendous.
Yeah, you're on when you're off, and the boss wants you to take the work home and all this. And so it's difficult. And then you're expected to have, your family and your house cleaned, and, for the neighbors, and go, so all these other things, and the list can go on. It's a long list of expectations. So it's like, let go of the expectations. Appreciation is more important. Gratitude, getting out in nature, and like it's all okay. And for some reason, this is bizarre, Tom, I am definitely a type A person.
Yeah, that's okay.
Can you tell? But I try not to be, but I am in many ways. And I think that the thing that is really just mind-boggling to me is that I can totally take care of my wellness, have my vacation home and my family time and my friend time, and relax with my puppy for a walk, and I get more done.
Good for you. I agree.
When I work 12 hours a day for a week straight, and I'm like, I got to get this done. And I don't get as much done because there's nothing fueling me.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's
you realize that, and let the audience listen to your words of wisdom. You can't go flat out all the time.
No.
I don't know why the corporate world realizes that 2 weeks off a year is not enough.
No.
People burn out.
And
that's the number one complaint. People burn out. I would, my policy, the people I work with, I ask them, please take at least 4 weeks off a year.
Right.
Please take at least 4 weeks off a year, because I know they'll be more productive.
Exactly.
I mandate it. Don't work all the time. Never work 7 days a week. Please take 4 weeks off a year. At least.
It's a challenge. One of the challenges I recently implemented was taking Fridays off as a full day. That's not a work day. It's not a chore day. It's not okay, I'm off now. I'm going to clean the house and paint and do all these little side things that I need to do around, and do all the grocery shopping and all the, that's work too. I would have to pay somebody to do that stuff. Okay. And then, so that's not a day for that. That's like a family day. That is our family quiet time. Just, it is the fun day or the rest day or a spa day or whatever. But there's no work going on. And it's just made a difference. Like the productivity has gone up. And these creative ideas, these things that come to me are like, oh, wow. How come I didn't think of that? Because I didn't have time to think.
Yeah, much has to change in this world.
Yes.
Nobody ever said you had to work 40 hours a week. Work is really a virtue, but many people overwork. It's not good.
Right, exactly. So now I am just so impressed by what you're doing, Tom, and I love the fact that you're creating this offer for people to have an experience like that and see what this energy experience is like. So we are coming closer to the end of our talking time, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about how people could sign up for that, or how does it work?
The website is scalarlight.com. Now, remember, this is a new science in which we access a person's force field. You simply email your photograph. You can send in your loved ones, pets included. And for 15 days, we'll work with you for free. It's a quantum healing. This is not biology. It's non-physical consciousness or quantum healing. And we can take a look at a photograph. We can ascertain what viruses, what parasites you have, and we can eradicate them with information. We can balance your brain waves. We can also create, assemble nutrients, vitamins, amino acids, phytochemicals, antioxidants. This is the new science in which you can send information, and it's only possible with the scalar energy instrument. And I have those instruments. They're custom-built instruments. So to the audience, try it. It's new. If you've never heard of this before, I understand. I invented this process. I don't know of anybody else who's doing this, who has replicated my work. Scalarlight.com, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. Visit the website, upload your photograph. We'll work with you, treat you for free for 15 days. Then you decide if you feel better. You decide.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right. I think that's incredible. And what a gift for those listening in to be able to try this modality out. And, I believe that with each person, when there's any kind of a healing or a realignment of any shape or form, then it goes out to our family, because we're better able to serve in the community, for our families, for our friends. And it's just that ripple effect. Really, it's real. They didn't make that up for sure either. It's something that just even your pets will notice a difference, I feel, when you do these type of things. And so definitely connect with Tom. And Tom, before you go, I'd love to ask you, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self? Just like a short, like you can only give 3 points or something. What would you advise your younger self?
Believe in yourself and do what you feel God has intended you to do. Don't waste your life.
Yeah.
Find your purpose. Believe in yourself. Ask God for help. That way you have a productive life. You have a meaningful life. Many people lament later on in life. They say, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have had that career. I wish I would have dated this person. Well, today's the day. Today's the day. Don't ever waste a day, and follow God's will. Do what your calling is. Follow God's will.
Yes, I love that. That's beautiful. Well, thank you again, Tom, for being a special guest on the show. And one more time, could you say and spell out the website?
Scalarlight.com, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. Visit the website, share it with friends. You can even put it on social media if you want. I want to treat the world. If I receive 100,000 photographs tomorrow, I'll be happy. Send us your photograph. We'll treat you for free.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Thank you again, Tom, for being a special guest on the show. And for those tuning in, we'll be back after these messages. Stay tuned. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mac Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we had a special interview with Tom of Scalar Energy. And I love all these different modalities. I guess I'm one that's really interested in things that are new discoveries, new ways of changing our lives or making things better. And so I get really excited about lifestyle design. And that's something that in my book, I talk a lot about different ups and downs that we all go through if we get to live long enough in this life. And that whenever there's a shift that happens, whether it's our whole world is shifting right now, just in case you didn't notice, and whenever there's this shift in something in our lives, a different season, a new chapter, a new way of doing things happens. And it's a choice. It's a time where you can take and do like an inventory of where you are in life, what matters, what you want to change, how you want to live this next chapter, whether it is you got divorced or you got married. There's a new chapter in your life where, you're not sharing a house anymore, or you are sharing a house now. Or maybe you're sharing a house with grown kids, or different situations now, different scenarios, because things are so interesting. Lots of people are house sharing now, or multi-generational living, and there's a different way to live together in our homes, in our communities, in our world, and in our life. And it all comes down to these decisions. It's really important to think about what you wish to have your life look like. And I think that, whatever you're doing right now while you're listening, if you take a moment and you think about your perfect day, your perfect week, maybe your perfect year, and how that shows up for you. What do you picture as your perfect day, week, month, year? And then look at the inventory of how have you been living your life. Like, oh my gosh, for me, for a long time, I was really busy and working hard and raising a family and working and running businesses and this and that. And some things that I wanted to give more time to, one of my passions is just exercising. I know it sounds crazy. I love to swim. I was on the Junior Olympics team. And so for me, I used to swim 3, 4, 5, sometimes in the summer, 6 hours a day training. And so for me, that's an important part of my life. That is so it's revitalizing to me. And for somebody else, that might be like, oh, that sounds horrible. That sounds like torture. For me, that's one of the things that my life was missing. And as I've brought that back in, and I'm actually preparing later on today to go do all my workouts. And it's really weird. This is counterintuitive. Whatever you like to do, horseback riding, playing sports, whatever it is, you fill in the blank, because this is your canvas. When you write out your perfect day, what is that? Do you have time to go do these things, whether it's with family and friends, or it's something you do alone that's healing? Maybe it's sitting and meditating. Maybe it's prayer and a Bible or study of a wisdom book or text from your religion. Whatever that is, like, I have my spiritual time. I have all my different things in my day, and when I do them, my mental mind thinks, oh my gosh, how on earth can I do all these things that I love so much, or that are so important to me and make me feel so refueled? But how can I do them all and run my business, have this show, and all the other many, many things that I do every day. And this is bizarre. It's counterintuitive, but I actually get more accomplished when I give myself the gift of time. And so I did that. I wrote out my perfect day, week, month, and year, and I've been plugging into it as best I can. And there are days where it's definitely the Pareto 80-20 principle, where it's definitely me doing the bare minimum, or days where maybe I was sick or tired or something happened, I sprained to such and such, whatever happened, and I had to take a moment. But overall, it has really made a difference in this year. And I know we're coming down to this last quarter, and it's not so much about, for me anyway, this lifestyle design that I'm living into and being into. It's not so much about an outcome. It's more about how I just want to enjoy each magic moment in my day. It's not about getting to a specific goal or weight or shape or memorizing so many scriptures or passages or meditating so many hours or whatever it is. It's not about that. It's just about how I find peace in my day and balance, and just, it's bizarre, but I get more done. So, in my book, and I'm plugging my book a little because I do want to share that with you, but I do have an entire chapter dedicated to lifestyle design, but each chapter also goes into designing your life through whatever you're going through. And so, there's a grief and how to get through that. And that's something I went through not too long ago, losing my youngest son to a heart disease. And there's that's something that's a journey. It's not, reading anything isn't going to make it different, but there's going through that process. There's the process of relationship and how to heal a relationship, and forgiveness, and having open conversations. So in that chapter, we get deep into questions and answers that you can do with your mate, or relationship with your 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 children or parents even, and that's in the parenting chapter, because there's parenting our children, and even if you don't have children, you're parenting your parents at a certain stage in life, if you're fortunate enough to have your parents that long. And so there's all these different things we go through in life, and how do we negotiate living life on our terms? And when we change the chapter and we start a new chapter of life, how do we plug in and do those things that matter most to us, so that at the end of the day, when you go to sleep at night, you've had a productive full day, you've been in contribution, you've shown up, you've lived your purpose and your values, and you've done the things that really bring you joy throughout your day. That's and you get to write that yourself. So there's activities and ways to write that out yourself. And as you go through those activities and do that work, it is a self-work, because you're designing life on your terms. Not something I say to do or somebody else, or it's yours. And at a certain time, when you change that chapter in life, or right now in our world, as we're changing and things are just figuring themselves out with everything so different than it was a few years ago, it's a great time to redesign your life on your terms.
Is not one size fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation.
Grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now available on Audible, as well as on Amazon and Kindle, and at www.sheilamac.com.
If you don't own your happiness, you have nothing. And there is no thing that can truly come between you and your true happiness. So this week, today, as a matter of fact,
Review your family ships, your relationships, your friendships, your work environment, your home environment, and see what needs to change. Then either make the change to become happy where you are. That means find a therapist, a coach, someone to work with, a friend, someone in the community that can help you, a book. Get started on that today. And then if you're still not finding happiness, take your beautiful, authentic energy and remove yourself from that negative situation.
If you are just tuning in, this is the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and action steps to help you rebuild, reinvent, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and we are here today on NBC'S KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. Self-care and spirituality. Lisa's husband passed away. As a couple, they had recently agreed that they were going to sell their house and move to a retirement community, and now she had to do that alone. Between the loss of her husband and the home her son had grown up in, Lisa was hit with a double whammy of grief. As anyone who has lost someone knows, grief causes stress levels to rise exponentially. On top of that, selling a house and moving, even when it's a planned, happier move, is also stressful and can be unsettling. You lose things, objects get broken, and you have to readjust to a new place. Lisa wasn't just moving away from the house where she'd raised her son. She was also leaving the neighborhood she'd lived in for 45 years, where her friends lived, and where she volunteered in the community. She felt she was losing everything in her life at once. Lisa and I started talking because she needed some support through all these decisions and upheaval. She was even overwhelmed with things she was usually quite good at, her paperwork and taxes, because of all the changes she was going through at once. As we talked, she told me how she took care of her husband, her son, and her community, but she had never taken time for herself, and now she was faced with too much time. I gave her the challenge of doing one thing for herself every day, as if she was doing it for her husband or close friend. If someone showed up on her doorstep in pain, stressed out, or going through something, Lisa would drop everything to help that person now, though that person would be her. She was going to give herself as much attention, honor, and love as she gave to so many other people. And I asked her to send me pictures of her doing these things so she would be held accountable. At first she was like, "Are you crazy?" I promised her it would help, even though she thought it would be dumb. For me, I told her, do it for me if you're not going to do it for yourself. The first day, Lisa sent me a picture of herself getting her nails done with the text, "I haven't had my nails done in months, not since before Dave got sick. It felt so good, and you were right. I kind of needed that break." "Great," I replied. "What are you doing tomorrow?" From survival mode to self-care. When we hit rock bottom situations in life, it tends to send us into survival mode. And when we're in that place, we're so busy making ends meet, struggling with grief, loss, and pain, and dealing with whatever is going on that we don't have a choice but to eliminate some of the things we usually do. When we have to go to work, then go visit somebody in the hospital, then pick up your kids, and you still have to make dinner and maintain a certain level of cleanliness in your home, or whatever duties you have to do, taking an hour for yourself to go to the gym or meditate gets pushed aside. It's just today, you tell yourself. But then tomorrow comes and goes, and another day and another. The next thing you know, it's been a month or two, and then you really start to notice the difference. One day, you wake up and you're not who you used to be. When you aren't practicing self-care, it shows up all over. Maybe you're exhausted and not sleeping right. Maybe you're off your healthy diet. Perhaps you've pushed your meditation practice and it's showing up at work or with relationships. You start snapping at people you would never snap at when you're already at rock bottom with one situation, and then you realize how many of your healthy habits went in the fallout. It can be overwhelming. You've hit another rock bottom, and you may be looking around and thinking, how do I get from here back to where I was? You start over, one step at a time. Starting over sounds scary, but there is good news. Your muscles have memory. Your body remembers healthy eating, and you can catch up on your sleep, but it's not going to happen in one day. It took you more than one day to reach this rock bottom place. One day of not cleaning up doesn't bring a mess into your life. One day of extra spending doesn't necessarily lead to a negative cash flow situation, so it's going to take a few days or even weeks to get back to where you were. The fastest way to start climbing up from rock bottom is to take small steps and focus on little wins. Do one small chore that's fallen by the wayside, and then one reward to yourself, and do one small act of self-care too. As you do one, the other becomes easier, and you climb back up from your rock bottom. Once you've taken the first step and have that first little win, you can take another. Maybe tomorrow you'll clean one part of your house or deal with one bill that got thrown into a pile. Set a goal or a timer, and once you reach that number or that time, stop and take some time to reward yourself for the progress you've made. Just for tonight, take 5 minutes to meditate. It doesn't have to be the whole hour that you used to do, as long as you're doing something. Maybe you're starting over with your budget, so you can't go get a massage or facial or have a spa day right now. Just for today, try doing your nails at home, or just for this afternoon, take a 10-minute walk. Anything that leaves you thinking, oh, that feels better, after you do it. You can even schedule appointments for time to spoil yourself a little, even if you just mark enough time in your calendar for simple things like lighting a candle and meditating, taking a walk or a nap, or watching a movie. Something that's just for you. You'll still have to take the right actions and take care of the things you're required to care for in your life. But you can also honor an appointment with yourself as much as you show up for the other people or situations or emergencies that threw you into survival mode in the first place. Your body and your mind need that break. They need a respite in order to continue getting you from that rock bottom place back into your life. Without it, it's like not putting fuel in your car and expecting to go on a road trip. You know that sooner or later, you're just going to run out of gas. With your brain and body fueled up and ready to go, however, you will be able to come up with new strategies for resolving whatever issues come up. You define your self-care. You have to take care of yourself before you help all the other people that you care for. Let me say that again. You have to take care of yourself first. Self-care looks different for everybody. It may include meditating, praying, or another spiritual practice, doing yoga, walking, running, lifting weights, playing sports, playing a musical instrument, seeing a movie, dancing, journaling, reading, being in nature, gardening, horseback riding, getting your hair or nails done, getting a facial or massage, painting a picture or creating art, sleeping in or taking a nap as a gift to your body, just sitting and being happy doing nothing. What do all these things have in common? They are activities that you do for you. And if you're not used to practicing self-care, how do you get started? Self-care is individual. It's whatever fills your soul, not anybody else's. So first, think about what fuels you. You may have to go back in your memory a couple decades to find something you used to love that has fallen away in your life. When I was a kid, I was on the swim team. That was my meditation. When things were going wrong at home, I would go swim laps for hours. I still like to swim whenever I can. It doesn't feel like working out. Swimming energizes me. I just lose myself in the quiet, peaceful rhythm. It's the best medicine in the world for me. A friend I used to go to the spa with loves being in the wilderness. For her, it is heaven. Her favorite vacation of all time was a hiking trip where she carried everything in a backpack, went to the bathroom in bushes, and swam naked in the lake. She was one with nature, and that was a spiritual experience for her. That wouldn't do it for me. I liked the spa because it was elegant. We got massages every day and had a chef preparing our meals. They took care of us. Putting on a backpack, walking across the country, and sleeping in the cold woods would be torture for me. Self-care is different for everyone. Your partner's definition and your child's definition and your definition of passion and relaxation are probably all going to differ. You have to honor those differences and evaluate what that is for you. How are you going to take a break? What is your release? How do you meditate and relax and refuel? What are those things you've done throughout your life that have caused you to lose all sense of time? When you're in that flow state, so connected with whatever you're doing that nothing else matters, it gives you that break and that sense of peace. It doesn't have to take a lot of time or money. I don't want to completely oversimplify things, but self-care doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to cost a lot of money. It doesn't even need to take a lot of time. You can renew yourself and fuel your soul even on a budget. When you're at rock bottom, you probably don't have the time or money to take a big trip and fly to another country just to sit by the pool and sip coconut drinks. You can still recreate the restful aspect of that vacation in your daily life without spending thousands of dollars and taking 2 weeks off work. Now, I'm not saying never to take vacations. You may want to travel the world or visit loved ones or go to your favorite places. I'm simply saying that you don't have to do these things in order to refuel. We'll talk more about lifestyle design in the next chapter. But when you design a life that makes you happy and that lifts you up, you don't have to take a vacation from it. Who wants a life you need to escape because it doesn't fuel your soul? So where can you build little breaks and mini vacations into everyday life? You can find a pool in your neighborhood and enjoy sitting by it. Go for a swim. Take a class. Take a nap. Trade an hour of babysitting with another family and use that hour for anything you want. The person who comes back from these mini vacations is not a cranky, exhausted, unhappy person. That person is fueled and relaxed. The little things that would normally bug you will now just roll off your back. You may not even notice. Everybody around you benefits from that brief respite as much as you do. When you practice self-care and take these little breaks, it's a bonus when you get to do something more elaborate. Take care of yourself inside and out. It's also important to take care of your complete self. Part of that means going to your doctor regularly for whole body checkups. I have a friend who was doing everything right, eating healthy and working out, but she kept gaining weight. Nothing was working, so she was ready to give up and go for the pie. Then she went to the doctor and found out that she had a thyroid issue. Other people in her family have the same condition, but she didn't think about it until the doctor brought it up. There was a simple treatment, and now she's enjoying the fruits of her healthy lifestyle. It's important to determine whether you have a condition that requires medical intervention. Maybe you're low on vitamin D, which can show up as depression, fatigue, getting sick often, or even brittle bones. Perhaps you need a prescription instead of a coping mechanism. Maybe you're not getting the right nutrients or are having a hormonal issue. If you're tired all the time, you may be drinking a lot of caffeine to make up for that. Some people even turn to Adderall or other drugs, but your doctor could diagnose a biochemical shift in your body. And that was a portion of Chapter 10 in my bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom and back into action in any situation. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mac Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today I have a couple of announcements. First, I would like to hear from you. That's right. I would love to hear from you. To be honest, I want to know what your breakthrough is, what your reboot is. How are you reinventing and rebooting your life? What shows would you like to hear more of? What information do you need to help you get back on track this year? And to do that, the best way to connect with me is actually through my new YouTube channel, and that is Sheila Mac Show on YouTube. And there you can see past recordings, and you can also see other information and shares that I have. And I would love for you to share in the comments there what you're needing more of and what you're rebooting this year and how we can help you get back on track.
Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mac's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. So if life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.sheilamac.com today.